All right, guys. Good evening, everyone. You are listening to Red Pill 78, and you guys know what time it is. It is time for Comfy Sunday. Very, very excited about today's show. As always, my co-host Methods is here, and our good friend, Professor Doug Belmore, is also going to be joining us. So please, everyone, sit back, relax, grab that popcorn, and we'll be right back after a very brief word from our sponsor. When emergencies strike, there's always news stories about long lines of people and empty store shelves. Well, there's no need to be part of that chaos and the possibility of having to deal with FEMA food lines. Those that know what's coming are using today to prepare. You should make a plan too, and you can start by building an emergency food supply. I trust and use My Patriot Supply, and you can too. They're the experts in emergency preparedness and have guaranteed 2-day delivery. Disasters won't wait, and neither should you. This week, you can save $70 on a 2-week emergency food kit when you go to my special website, preparewithredpill78.com. My Patriot Supply food kits last up to 25 years in storage and include breakfasts, lunches, and dinners. Order today and receive guaranteed 2-day delivery discreetly to your door. Take action so you're ready for what's coming and save $70. Those that know what's coming are preparing, and you can go to preparewithredpill78.com and get yours today. Once again, that's www.preparewithredpill78.com. And remember, when you support my sponsors, you support this channel. All right, good evening, everyone. How are you? Methods, how are you, my friend?
What's going on, brother? What's up, YouTube chat? Comfy Sunday. I'm happy to be here, man.
I just realized I need to change this to live chat so we can see all the Patriots in the room. The first thing I wanted to mention, Methods, is we've got a viewer from Siberia in the audience tonight. How cool is that?
Yeah, man. International Patriots. I'm loving it.
Absolutely. I don't even know what time it is in Siberia, but I just want to say thank you to everyone who's here tonight, all of the Patriots from all across the globe. We've got, oh yeah, what happened to the finger? Yeah, I sliced my finger open when I was making breakfast for everybody this morning. It happens, but, you know, I'm extremely clumsy when it comes to sharp objects, guys. I'm not going to lie. I probably should not handle knives, but it's an, yeah, slow the chat too. Okay, yes, I will slow the chat, darling. So, how's everybody doing tonight? You guys having a good week? You enjoying this week? I know I am. How about you, Methods?
Man, it's been a lot of fun. But yeah, speaking of, you know, being from Siberia, I'm interested. Where's everybody from? Anybody interesting in the chat? Go ahead and drop where you're coming from here. But yeah, man, this week's been great. It's been a lot of fun to watch things play out. You can kind of see, you know, Trump had the best couple weeks ever, and the Democrats not so much. So it's been a lot of fun to see a tide turn. The energy's been great. So yeah, man, I'm having fun.
Yeah, it is a distinctly different energy than what we've been experiencing for the last 3 years. Wow, we sure got an answer, didn't we?
Right.
This is in a 60-second slow mode right here, you guys, and it is still just pouring in. I would have to say that we've got at least one person from every state in the union here, if not more, and
we've got one from Nibiru.
Nibiru, that's one of my favorite places.
Right.
Oh, but yes, it is a distinctly different atmosphere. You know, President Trump, and this is something I feel like we've both been saying for a long time, you know, this was a necessary hurdle that we had to get past. President Trump had to allow for this impeachment to make its way through the House and the Senate. The American people had to be awakened fully. They had to realize how far the Democrats were willing to go, what they were willing to sacrifice, the good of the country. They were willing to sacrifice everything as long as they could get rid of Orange Man because he's so bad. They had to get him out there.
Right. Yeah. We always knew they needed to have, like, we needed to have the public see, and we needed to see too what we were dealing with as far as this evil, you know, this manipulative, you know, just evil people, and having them play every card and show it to the world. Everybody was watching this impeachment thing, or at the very least the clips that everybody was sharing, and to watch them show how easy they can lie, how easy they can manipulate and sell on things even when they get called out on it. We needed that to be shown. So where now that this truth is going to start coming out. I know we've been saying that for a while, but you could tell, like you said, there's a tide turning right now as this truth drops, even with the Rudy stuff that's been dropping lately.
Yeah.
We're going to be able to see, how are they going to handle then backtracking on everything they've said real quick. That's probably going to be the most exciting time for me, is to watch them suffer.
You mentioned the backtracking, and it's obviously they don't have a problem changing the narrative. They don't have a problem kind of massaging the truth, because it started out with President Trump as a conspiracy theorist. There was no spying, then there was spying, but it was adequately predicated. Then it was a complete and total fraud on the court, and now even the other day when Christopher Wray was testifying, I think it was Ratcliffe that was questioning him. He admitted, he said this is this is something that should never ever happen. Ratcliffe got Wray to admit that it was in fact a fraud, even though the Democrats are still trying to say it wasn't a fraud. What are they going to do at this point? Where are they going to go? They know that their gooses are completely cooked, and there's absolutely nothing left for them to do. I love the video that somebody put out, Red Pill Report or something like that, that was posted by President Trump, of Nadler getting called a loser. That clip's like a year old, if I'm not mistaken, but it's true. Nadler's a loser. The Democrats are losers. Everybody knows they're losers, and it makes me think to that C-SPAN call from the other night after the State of the Union. How many people have been converted, like in the last week alone, like looking at everything these Democrats were willing to do, and realizing that it's not about the people, it's not about the country, it's solely about themselves and their own well-being, and surviving at any cost, and getting rid of Trump is the only way they thought they could do it.
Yeah, you could hear it in those C-SPAN phone calls for sure. But also, they've been told so many things for so long, and they bite that apple, and they want to believe in it so much. But as things keep happening, and every time they get it wrong, they get exposed. And the idea that the great thing about our movement is that, yeah, we might cover things or decode things wrong at times, or, certain things get shared that end up not being true because how quickly, but if people want to then look at our side, we're having a great time. We're having fun with each other. They're going to have the entire buffet of information for them to decide for themselves. Mm-hmm. Because they basically, if they had bought into the mainstream media so much, there's a good chance they haven't really thought for themselves as much as they need to. If they're just quickly buying, okay, CNN headline, Orange Man bad, here we go. But the idea of being able to think for yourself and having that red pill kick in, that moment, we've all had it. That's why we're all here. That moment of, whoa, wait a second, I was told this for so long and it changed. And you kind of have that humility for a second. That's what they have to face. Mm-hmm. And the idea of watching them grow and all that, I kind of get jealous, because it's so exciting to watch things happen. Like, I'd love to go back, there's having a DeLorean to go back when Q first showed up again.
Yeah.
And just relive those times, because we're all like reading these things and getting excited about it. And we still get excited about Q posting, but just having these things put out there and piecing these things together, we built such this army, and it makes sense that it had to start years ago, mm-hmm. because of how strong it is now, how connected we are. And to be able to talk about all these things and refer to things, we have our own way to talk about things. All we have to do is say Durham's going to happen, and we know what that means. So yeah, man, I'm excited about where we are right now for sure. It's going to be intense, but I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, it's you can just feel it in the air. Everything is accelerating. We went from President Trump basically just taking all these punches, sitting back and allowing all of this to happen because it was necessary. And now, as soon as it's over, he delivers two, gangbuster speeches in a single day, telling the world exactly how he feels, exactly what they did to him and his family and the country, and that, these people are going to answer for it. We had that post from Q earlier today, justice, just a single word, justice. And we were told the other day, again, it was reinforced, can people really sit back and believe that these people are not going to pay for what they did to our country, what they did to the president, the office of the president, completely destroying any belief that, any citizens here in the United States had that there was anything fair going on. I mean, it's undeniable now. I mean, we are living in a two-tier system. I mean, maybe even more than that. But I mean, for them, there's a single tier, and then there's everything else for everybody else. I need to say thank you to Concrete Watershed. Concrete Watershed, thank you for that super chat. But
real quick, Carlene DeFeo says I sound good tonight. Yeah, I'm feeling really good. Everybody that's been praying for me and stuff, we're still figuring out some things and all that, but I do want to talk about, I'm feeling really good now, at least for for the time being. I'm kind of going to consider it a praise report, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, to get back to your point, like if there is no one tier justice system where it applies to everybody, these shootings over the weekend, shooting police, even in the precincts, that's a lawless system where they can get away with those things. And of course they didn't get away with it, but the idea of that would be when there's just nobody respects it. So there's gonna have to be some a justice that is swift and strong enough to backhand the entire concept of breaking the law, especially, I mean, for politicians for the future past me and you breathing. It's gonna have to happen.
Yeah, there needs to be a complete and total overhaul here. I mean, clearly, people have been operating in just a totally lawless manner. Bill S. says, "Red tide rolling now. America is waking up." To that, going back to that idea of people waking up, this is why I have always said that people need to be kind to each other online. It is so easy to fall into that trap of getting into an argument with somebody on social media because it's anonymous and they're never going to know who you are, but they're always going to remember that time that they had this very memorable fight with a Trump supporter online, and that we need to be kind to them because they need to be able to come to us when they start waking up. Remember that guy that I thought was so crazy because he was saying stuff about the president getting spied on? Well, now I know it's true. I want answers. Who else do I talk to? Because they know they can't go to the mainstream media. I had, Exploding Pumpkin Production says, "Methods, I understand your pain. Been in bed all day. RP78, thanks for sharing my vid last night. Keep it up, brother. Not a problem." Exploding Pumpkins Production. Say that 3 times fast, I dare you.
Right.
And there's something that I wanted to mention. I can bring it in here because it's applicable, but this is we also had the removal of Vindman and his brother. We had the removal of Gordon Sondland. I think that we're going to see the final removal of all of these last holdovers, the people that were the major coup plotters behind the scenes, that were still here from the last administration. But I also think we're going to see it across a wider swath of the administrative branch of the United States government. There is an article that's going to be coming out this week in the Epoch Times, and I'm only mentioning it. I can't talk about it specifically because it hasn't come out yet, and they have the dibs on the story. But there is a branch of government that deals with some major important stuff, and there's a whistleblower in that branch of government. And an article is coming out in the Epoch Times talking about this. And once it breaks, I'm going to be able to talk about it. But this is the exposure of such incredible corruption. We're talking the lives of American people on the line every single day, and something not being done about it because people are getting rich. And that's the whole thing. Everybody involved in this corruption, it's all about money. Casual Creation says, "You gentlemen are my news. I haven't watched cable TV in more than 3 years. Thank you both for all you do. God bless." Thank you, Casual Creations. And then Eric Fogg says, "Great job, brother. Thank you." If to both of us or just me or just Methods, it doesn't matter. I'm happy to be here.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. No, we're just happy to be here with everybody.
Yeah, this is an honor and a privilege, guys. Every day I have the absolute best possible life that I could imagine, to be able to live in this moment in time, to be present in this moment as we're watching our country being brought back to us, where we're taking it back in a nonviolent way. When it comes down to it, I was worried for a couple of years that we weren't gonna get it back in a nonviolent way. George, aka Jorge Mouse James, upgraded membership to RP78 promoter. Thank you very much for remaining and upgrading your membership, George. I appreciate it. Yeah, you guys, let us know if there's any problems with the stream. I would appreciate it. I mentioned last night I'm on the road, so you never quite know what's going to pop up. We had some strange stuff happen earlier. I was kicked out of Zoom and had to restart it. Yeah, this is the best timeline ever. You know, we were definitely in the darkest possible timeline for a while there. And, you know, we've talked about it here on the show before, and it's really easy to sink into that and lose hope. And this whole movement, everything about it, has brought me back from the brink, the darkest night of the soul that I could imagine. And without you guys, without you methods, without Q and POTUS, all of this stuff, man, it would be a completely different situation in my life. Leah Worth says, full moon, Oscars, Nat, Pizza Day, pray that all the evil they have planned for tonight be stopped in Jesus' name. I'm very anxious about this. Well, you know, obviously we want to pray that everything's going to be okay, you guys, but don't live in fear. I think that if anything we've learned over the last couple of years is that by living in fear, you're not going to get anything accomplished. I mean, all of this happened, and the reason that we're here, Methods, is I think because of our disposition, our outlook on all of this stuff, you know? If we were out here preaching, you know, just horrible darkness, then I think it would be a little bit different situation. Kat Astra says, Team Punish Dem, appreciate all the work y'all do. Thanks, Kat. And Dana Finkler says, Thomas unveiled the thick ankle dog face t-shirt. I did see that. He showed me a preview of that beforehand. Cole Howard, thank you for upgrading your membership or becoming a member. Wanman says, thanks, guys. Keep the faith. Appreciate that. Seabass says, RP and Methods, thank you for all your hard work. I adore you both. Carmen Anon says, keep up the great work, RP78 and Methods, superstars. Tammy's awake now. Thank you very much, Tammy. And Susan Nobles also joined as a member.
Well, yeah, no, but you're absolutely right about, yeah, we have to think and be aware of what can happen, could happen. There could have been, you know, the plan Z happen if it wanted to go that route, but the whole goal, and you could see it through the, you know, the Q layout and what the government's been doing and what the movement has done and kind of geared itself towards, was to get through this without things getting hot the best we can. Of course, there's casualties, people being attacked. What was that? The Trump tent or whatever got ran over. The people, yeah, those things are going to happen. I'm not trying to, you know, denounce that, but if we're going to be prayerful patriots that are trying, you know, that believe in God and are pushing forward, and we do our part, you know, part of the faith is to believe that the victory is already yours.
Exactly.
So you're going to get, so we want to live that. We don't want to live in fear. That's why the show's called Comfy Sunday. We wanted to have a casual show where we chat about things realistically, but also, you know, let everybody know why you can see us be comfortable. And we want to be comfortable with all of you. Yeah. And we read your comments and we see all the excitement and stuff like that. And it's exciting. It's definitely exciting to see where things are going.
Yeah. And, you know, the other thing about it is that I think that the way that the world was structured before and these types of events that would take place, they wanted us to live in fear. They wanted us to be in this constant state of fear where you never know what's going to happen. You never know, you know, what's going to happen next, you know, what terrible event is going to take place, because that's clearly something that they feed off of. That is, you know, part of that dark magic that they use.
Right. No, they feed off of energy. And you'll actually, you know, Douglas Belmore's video covered it well, and I guess we'll talk about it later, about how living in fear and controlling emotions is the game, like all the way down to, you know, why does a commercial always look like their life's complete if you get their product? You know, like it and like I said, we'll talk about that later, but the idea of being, you know, at peace, with the spirit realm itself, with the friends, with the choices you make, and being good to each other and working towards a goal and being content and happy along the way is everything they didn't want us to have, and being content with everybody from all walks of life having us go inside. That's why I like seeing when we ask where everybody's from, because you get to see we're all connected in this moment in time around the globe, and everybody loves everybody.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they didn't want.
Transcending borders, transcending distance, transcending differences of opinion. That's a big part of it for me. I need to say thank you to Nikki. Also, thank you to rking4441. My wife is now red-pilled. She loves Methods. Methods is an icon at this point, guys. I'm honored to be here with him. Tammy's awake now. Team Punisher. Thank you very much, Tammy. And Doug McDougall, February 17th. February 17th is coming up. Methods, what do you think about that February 17th post? The possibilities of that.
Which post are you talking about in specific?
That clipping from Akun about Genesis and somebody thinking that maybe on February 17th.
Oh, are you talking about the because in the Bible, and I guess in the newer versions of the Bible, it talks about the flood, and it says on the second month and the 17th day, being the flood.
Yeah.
And, Q says things are biblical. Now, people know me well enough, and I will always say this, and Red Pill's like this too. We don't like to date things. Call it date fairy. We don't want to do that. But in turn, that is a date on my marker, that I'm paying attention to. Our doc has made a good case to me, as well as others, for the 18th. There's also been good cases for the 14th. But that lets me know when we all can't decide on a date, because typically we have a date that we talk privately and we're like, let's see what happens on this one date.
Yeah.
We've got like 4 or 5 in the next few weeks.
Yep.
That to me lets me know that's going on. And if we're living in the 2-year Delta world and all that stuff, we've got March Madness coming.
Yeah.
And that was such a big theme. And I remember everybody being let down when that happened and nothing really happened. And then the 2019. So I'm interested literally every day. Every day is an exciting moment because you don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
And if you don't live, where you're overly anxious and burned out your expectations, each day is exciting to see things happen. And that's why we're enjoying it now.
And, the thing about it is that it doesn't have to be like, some nuclear blast in order for it to be some exciting thing, because it really is every single day. Every single day I'm waking up and I'm like, yes, another win, or like we're moving closer. It's just one step. Exploding Pumpkins, a.k.a. MAGA Jedi 1745 says, they make the bugs and cure for evil. And cure for money, it's evil. Social Observer says, does Trump have to dismantle the control of communist China first to drain the swamp? Was the bioweapon Clowns in America white hat operation, or FF to quell Hong Kong protests? This is a good question. Social Observer, you are one of the deepest thinkers on this channel. I really do appreciate it every time you ask a question. Well, we were talking about this the other day. China was at one time the most potent adversary for the United States openly on a global stage. And at a certain point, the USSR closed down, and at that point it was just communist China. And then that all kind of ended. And, it was like when I was a kid, you're probably too young to remember Methods, but when I was a kid, China was an enigma. People were like, what happens in China? The most we ever saw was, propaganda in Tiananmen Square. And then all of a sudden, we started doing trade with China. We started getting flooded with Chinese products. Were you old enough to remember that? Did you see that happen?
I was old enough to remember because my family was very involved in paying attention to politics.
Yeah.
So I remember there being a lot of talk of it, and the flood of made in China happening a lot more, becoming the topic of discussion, just ending up everywhere. And it's like, oh, we're getting these cheap blah, blah from China because it's cheaper because of the deals made and all that stuff. But now, like where we are really studying and seeing how much we're at essentially in a kind of war with China, it makes a lot of sense. Now, as far as that amazing question, as soon as I heard Social Observer, I knew that it was coming. It being a white hat op that ends in lives dying when Trump wouldn't even go after the whole drone thing with Iran. The whole point is saving lives. I don't know. There's a good argument to be made for that. There's also a good argument to be made that they did it to their own people.
Yeah.
Because what if information were to break in all this mess that makes China the most hated country in the world? They would need to control their people. And how do you control people? You control them through fear.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know about that. Maybe they didn't want, to have the protests flood into, their backyard even more so. But yeah, it's definitely, I argue with myself pretty much every day on what's exactly going on with that virus.
I tend to think that it's more likely that it all originated from right there. I thought it was very convenient that this happens. There's, whatever it is that caused it, and then, the protests get shut down in HK. Somebody mentioned in the chat that Wuhan is a city of Christians. So I mean, it's a city like as big as or larger than New York City, and it's completely shut down. It is very convenient in terms of stamping out dissidents. They have cut the flow of information out even more than it was before. Saw a really interesting video today. Methods. I don't know if you had a chance to watch it, but it was a young man, early 20s, from Wuhan. He's talking about the situation in China. One of the biggest takeaways from it was he wanted people to know that they're not brainwashed. They know exactly where they live. They know exactly the type of authoritarian government they have. And they know, that basically they're being stomped out. They're not just mindless automatons doing what the state tells them to do. They're using VPNs. I said that last night. They're using VPNs to get the information out of the country. And Nibush says M3 Thods. I love it.
I will never live that down.
RockDoc78, thank you for becoming a member of the channel. And Madeline Postagian, thank you also for becoming a member of the channel. Did I miss anybody else there? Oh, Tammy's awake now, says Team Punisher love bacon. We all love bacon. I made a pound of bacon earlier today.
You got the scars to prove it.
I sure do. EO2 Dave says, I found out all my notifications were turned off on my browser, and then I heard it was happening to others too. They are shadow banning or invading our computers. And Fiona Larnach says, I look like Fiona from Shrek. It's great, Fiona. I love it.
It's a great movie.
Telling yourself it's a great movie. I will say this. If you're using the Chrome browser, don't, because they have tracking available so that they can track a user throughout everythything they do on their computer. So, if you're using Chrome, then they can figure out absolutely everything that you're doing. But any browser can do that unless it's like Brave or something. But they will use that information. They'll use that information in a pretty serious way. They've kind of created a privatized intelligence service, all of these tech companies, and they have profiles built on us. And it was Patrick, I can't remember his last name. He was a guest on the program one time before. He had a great point about it. I mean, that's his whole thing is that these tech companies can, down to the way you hold your phone and when you're walking or the, where it is on your body, they can tell, what your race, your sex, absolutely everything about you. So you put all that together with the information they get from your browsing history, from everything you do online, the places you shop, and they have fairly comprehensive dossiers on every single one of us. So whatever you can do to, not have them get that information, I would seriously suggest it. But Chrome is the worst offender as far as I know.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I use Brave if anybody's curious. It's a great one. It works for everything that I do. But as far as them creating, individual, portfolios or dossiers, if you will, on us, that's why I love this movement so much, because even now they're kind of conceding in the mainstream media articles that conveniently came out this weekend, that we are growing movement that's getting into the mainstream platform. And that's because we're an enigma. Yeah, have portfolios on us or whatever, but we're all over the place. I mean, I put out video clips of something before and got a DM from the person that was there with proof.
Wow.
And it blew my mind. I was like, wow, I wanted to say small world, but I mean, there's so many of us. It kind of makes sense at that point to have that kind of boots on the ground type thing. So yeah, I mean, like, they're going to do what they do, but it's not going to stop us from what we do.
Methods, are you sitting in a rocking chair?
No.
Okay, someone is above me, I guess. Kevin Doty says, remember HRC emailed DB that they would all, yes, from nooses. She wouldn't say that if she didn't believe that what they did was treason. Past proves future. Yeah, I think they all know exactly what they're in for. They all know exactly what they did and how serious an offense it is. I mean, America was for sale. But going back to, our greatest adversary, what I was trying to get to was the evolution of that adversarial relationship we had. It went from being openly adversarial to being kind of covertly adversarial. They took over business. They took over manufacturing. They took over real estate. They placed people into our country. They placed people into government. They got access to our secrets. They got access to absolutely everything. And that was pointed at this week when we were talking about Secretary Pompeo going from the clowns in America now to the State Department. And the State Department is kind of like the front-facing, agency for the clowns. They get into every single country all across the globe by having embassies in each country, and it's staffed with people from the clowns in America. And then you also have people who are just State Department employees, but oftentimes they're the one and the same. They're the same people. But China is the greatest single threat to democracy and to the establishment of this movement as the new foothold in this 21st century. And so as a result of that, I could see what's happening over there right now as being something that was done, by us as a counter move. But I think it's far more likely that it was created by them, was accidentally released, and now we're seeing the effects of it. But it very well could be something that was created to quash the demonstrations, and they just got away from them. But one of the reasons that I think that it is not necessarily that is because I think if that was the case, we would have seen it showing up in HK first before showing up in Wuhan. Or maybe Wuhan was the test bed for it.
There's more questions about this than Epstein's death.
Yeah.
If you think about it. So, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that we can war game and talk about it all we want to, but we need to pay attention and see if something helps guide us towards one of those things. But for now, just be safe. Don't go to China.
Yeah.
Don't travel there. Be safe. And it's definitely. But real quick, make sure everybody clicks that like button. Share everything's out there. We got 3,000 people in here, and
Beautiful.
Douglas Belmore will be here in about 20 minutes or so, and we're excited about that conversation. So make sure everybody knows about it. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, if you guys are not familiar with our friend Doug, I'm gonna go ahead and drop his Twitter into the chat box, and you guys can check him out. He is a great guy. Doug has been on the program before. Doug was the professor from Arizona who was let go after playing Joe M's The Plan to Save the World, and Doug is now on YouTube as the Qniversity. He is giving us his knowledge. Hang on, I'm trying to get to it. University. Giving us his knowledge in the form of videos now on YouTube. And for some reason, I can't find it. Let me go to my history. But, Doug is a great guy, very, very intelligent. He's got a lot to say about a vast array of subjects. And there is his latest video right there, guys. I just put it into the chat.
Well, he's the kind of person that we definitely need in this movement. I mean, he was questioning things over time and got to the point to where he took a stand and showed something that was created in our movement. That's a movement for truth and getting things out there. He did that. He put it in a college and paid, one of the biggest prices for it, because in the system that we live in, you've got to provide for yourself. You have to work and give yourself, pay for that roof and all that. And now he's essentially blacklisted in his own field of his passion. And so having him, I was so just amazed and proud. I mean, I expected it, but to watch the overwhelming, outpouring of love for him since we learned about it from the Daily Mail article. I remember when it happened.
Yeah.
Just the outpouring of love that happened from that moment to when you had him on, to then when we found out that he was in Christmas by himself, and then taking care of him. And we know people, I know that you might even hate me for saying this, but I know people have worked behind the scenes, including Joe M, making sure that he took this step to do these things, because we believe in him, because we believe anybody wanting to step up and work on these things. He spoke in front of students regularly for, I think he said, for decades.
Oh yeah, it was natural.
Right. So he's in turn, he's a natural fit, and coming and talking and giving it the way he does. Because me and you, we're bros. We talk how we talk. But when I listen to him, I listen to all of his 3 videos today, and just to listen, it felt like a class that I would want to pay for.
Yeah.
So to have him on tonight, it's going to be great.
No, I'm super excited about it. We've been trying to get him back for quite a while, and I knew that this was coming, and I didn't want to talk about it until he was ready to launch the channel. So I'm very, very happy that he's here now and that he's creating content. I wasn't sure exactly what it was going to be like, but from the moment that I started that first video a couple weeks ago, my throat choked up, my eyes welled up with tears, and I said to myself, this was the best decision that he could have made. Today his video was about Hollywood, and how appropriate, because tonight is the Oscars. I guess that the Oscars are on right now, or maybe they're going to be starting soon, but I mean, I only know because I see people on Twitter talking about it. So I appreciate you guys for being here rather than being at the Oscars. Kevin Doney says, I'm sorry, Kevin, thanks again. Chris Lieb says, yet we are all here on YouTube, owned by Google. Well, unfortunately, we are here because this is where the people are. We need to do something else, but only in so much as we have the ability to. Something is going to take place, and I'm not going to speak out of turn, but I know that things will change. We will migrate someplace else. We will perhaps make where we're at a little bit better. Maybe it will be nationalized. I mean, maybe it will be broken up by the FTC. We'll have to wait and see. But as we are right now, this is where we're at.
The same argument can be made for Trump still being on Twitter. I mean, I hear you. I definitely, we should all be switching over or all that stuff. But for now, we are in enemy territory. And what stragglers are hopping in here right now because likes have happened and people might be watching, something from the Q movement for the first time, or, the movement in general. So yeah, I hear you on that, but hopefully we're going to break the backs of these people when they start having to do things legally correctly.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Also, White Hat says Q said to go here for real news. Thank you, White Hat. I appreciate that, and I appreciate anybody who feels that they can come to my channel and listen to Methods and I and feel like they're getting actual factual information, or if it's not proven to be factual, then just good thought exercises, because I'm very, very honored to be among a category of people who are trusted in this movement. Bill C says, just to make a point about our resolve, why don't we all on 2/20/2020 at 2:20 p.m. take a selfie of our butts with a caption reading "Kiss our butts" and email Bomb Soros, Pelosi, Schiff, Nadler, and BO. That would be quite a sight to see. Mung Key GP says, Q Post 1538, when will records be unsealed? Shock and Awe, 22nd March is 17th anniversary of Shock and Awe in Iraq War. Records unsealed next month. It very well could be. I don't know. I hope that one. Neeboosh says that my mom raised a good one. Thanks, guys. And I just want to say again, you guys, thanks for all the birthday wishes for real Red Pill 78 girlfriend. Baby Yoda, what's up, buddy? He says, that's what I wanted to hear. If we got together and created our platform, would be a wonderful free speech platform that benefits all. Yes,
yeah,
it would
we
be.
have a lot of discussions about what the future is. I mean, not just for Comfy Sunday or Red Pill's channel or other people's channels. We discuss a lot of things, and there are some things in the works. It's all for the better. It's all more content, if you will.